Hello and welcome to Sisumoi TV episode 3. I'm Alex.
I'm Barbara.
And we are the founders of Sisumoi. And today we feature one of our good friends and such an inspiring woman, Miss Jody Miller-Young, serial entrepreneur and animal welfare advocate, celebrity TV host, author, New York glamazon and fashionista. Jody, we are so pleased to have you here today.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you. My God, after that introduction, I better be good.
You're always amazing.
Always amazing.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
The love is real. It's
it is.
Yes, it
we
is.
can feel it through the screen. Virtual hugs.
Yes.
So for those of you that don't know Jody, she's an incredible woman. I'm going to give a little background into all of the projects that Jody is involved in. And then Barbara's going to turn it over and shed a little light on how we all know each other today. Jody is the president and CEO of Axolotl FL, which is Custom Surfaces, a brand for interior designers and builders. She's also founder and president of Bark and Swagger blog and podcast. And that's really where animals and fashion meet. So if you don't know about it, a fabulous place to subscribe. She also owns Couture by Sophie. She's a fashion designer, fashion designs for little dogs all the way on up. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. And she also had a 25-year successful career with JLM Public Relations in New York City, where she worked with the stars and celebrities all the way up to the top. So we are so honored and thrilled, Jody. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. I met Jody a few years ago. I picked up a copy of Hampton's Pet magazine when we were in New York. It was when I was doing one of my art shows, and I read your article. And I thought, wow, this is somebody I would really like to meet because she's a writer, she's a pet entrepreneur, she designs clothes. So I sent you an email, and we kind of struck up an email friendship. You featured me in that magazine, which was a gift to me. And then I was on your podcast, Bark and Swagger, which was like Hollywood. It was very exciting. And, after that, we sort of kept in contact. We continued, and we kept missing each other.
Yes.
And I remember that there was a Pet Hero Awards, and I was so excited to go to that so I could meet you. It's the most exciting part of it, and I got sick. So.
And that is so true. We talked about it the whole way. We finally get to meet Jody.
Right. So
I was so disappointed you got sick, but I got to meet Alex and Bill, which was
yes, you did, which was wonderful because they were able to fill in, and they came in after the show and they said, you have got to meet Jody Miller-Young. You would have loved her.
Yeah.
She's your kind of girl.
We did say you guys are two peas in a pod,
yes.
And anyway.
And so get to know each other. We finally met. And, I'm impressed, Jody, by your dedication to animals. I mean, that's pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
You're a designer. Your pet fashions are so unique and fetching. You yourself are a walking fashion ad, which is exciting for us because we love fashion. So you inspire people on so many levels. I think that, other women would definitely be inspired by hearing your story.
Thank you so much. I hope so. I think my story is pretty much in every person's story in some regards. I kind of learned how to do the different things I learned to do kind of by the seat of my pants. Things came into my life, opportunities came into my life, and I took them and I learned from there. And for me, it all started in New York, where I grew up, and kind of just fell into the entertainment industry and PR. I had been in college in Miami and had worked for extra money. I got a job at a booking agency, a talent booking agency. that was owned by a man named Henry Stone, who had one of the biggest disco labels called TK Records of the disco era. I know I'm dating myself, but what are you going to do?
Love it.
So we were just talking disco yesterday, Barbara.
Right, exactly.
So that sort of, and we were doing booking, but that sort of got me enmeshed in the music industry. And so when I went back to New York, I landed at a PR firm in the music industry. And my mentor, Howard Bloom, taught me, and that started a 30-year career in music and entertainment PR. And 5 years into that career, I also, by the seat of my pants, because I didn't really plan this out, but I had been working for a big agency after I left Howard Bloom. And I just wasn't happy there. And so it didn't work out for me there. I actually got fired and I was devastated. I was miserable, but then as soon as they fired me, I was devastated. So I decided to.
It's always how it is. Yeah.
But yeah, so I started my own company, and that was the beginning of a 25-year-old career, 25-year career with JLM PR. And it was an incredible ride. We did some amazing events, from the big celebrity concert of when the Berlin Wall came down, and we were standing in April of 1990 on the Potsdamer Platz, the no man's land between East and West, as they were first going into those bunkers the very first time since the war, since 1945. And they found Nazi artwork, and they found all sorts of things in there, but they were clearing it for this concert that I was doing the PR for North America. And on the day in July of that year, we had 350,000 people on the Potsdamer Platz to hear. It was the Wall concert, so it was Pink Floyd. But it was Roger Waters at that point, because Pink Floyd had broken up. But he had a celebrity band. So back in 1980, Bryan Adams was huge. He was in the band, Cyndi Lauper, and all these other, very, very big artists. And it was an incredible experience, That was.
It's a lifetime moment. I mean,
it really is. And that probably was one of the most significant of my career, but there were many along the way that were amazing. I mean, I represented John Mellencamp for years, and got to see a lot of his shows, and Iggy Pop, which was amazing. He was an incredible performer, and The Cure, and just lots of really cool artists and bands. So that was a lot of fun. But after 25 years, I was ready for something else. Yeah. And I always loved fashion. And I had planned, actually, when I retired my company, we had a big party and everything. And I'd planned to do a small couture label for women. And but I needed to learn how to sew first. I didn't even know how to sew. So I went to a local class in my neighborhood in Chelsea in New York. And as one of my projects, I decided to make a dog coat for our new puppy, Sophie. We had just gotten Sophie after not having a dog, any animals, for 7 years after our German Shepherd India had passed away. And so I made this dog coat for Sophie. And people stopped me in the street and said, "Oh my God, I love your coat. Where did you get it? Where'd you get it?" And I said, "I made it." And then I made another one for her, and I got the same reaction. So I decided to pivot and do a couture dog coat collection and accessories, and started Couture by Sophie, because Sophie was my muse. And that was a huge learning curve for somebody who was a new sewer. But I had a lot of clients. I had, a lot of, custom clients, and then I created a line. And so it was a journey, and that was the journey that led me to Bark and Swagger, which I still do today. Couture by Sophie, I don't do anymore. I decided after a few years that as much as I love fashion, creating it was not something that was as much a passion for me as reporting about it. So Bark and Swagger became a perfect platform for that. And I'm still doing the podcast. I don't get to blog very much anymore, but I am still doing the podcast. The other things which I can talk about, but I think probably for your purposes, what would make the most sense is my biggest challenge through all of this was something in childhood for me. There are no perfect parents, just like there are no perfect people. And I grew up with sort of a not good enough syndrome and, that insecurity. So for me, I was always trying to prove I could do and juggle as many balls in the air at the same time as I could. Now I'm still doing that.
You definitely are.
But that was a big challenge for me. And I think that just sheer force of will and determination, and maybe also, being motivated a bit by fear, was what made me continue to take one step forward, one step forward, one step forward. And I've been blessed too, really blessed. People have come into my life that have been instrumental, whether they're mentors or colleagues or suppliers, and friends. And opportunities have come into my life that have kept moving me forward as well. So it's been a journey of learning to get over my initial fear. And for anybody that also was debilitated by a not good enough syndrome, that it's this constant thing on your shoulder that you're constantly questioning yourself. So it was really that and overcoming that sort of got me where I am.
And that's a very big thing, because that, is in your soul. I mean, it's in your psyche when you start out. I think, my parents were sort of like that as well. They were very loving, but they were very goal oriented in that you must succeed, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What will people think if you don't succeed?
Yeah.
And I think that was very big a while ago. I think that's changed a lot in our society. But, I have two ways of thinking about that. On the one hand, I think they could have been maybe a little bit easier. But on the other hand, the fear of not pleasing them, propels you forward into doing more than you might have done if you had.
Yeah. Fear is a great motivator.
Yeah, it really
is. Don't let it completely control you. Yes. Favorite thing to ask me every day was, what did you accomplish? I was a kid. What did I accomplish? Oh, I got my homework done.
I think I love that we're talking about this, though, because, Jody, you mentioned so much there from, being fired and how the fear started there. We've all been fired. And it's so true. It's so traumatic when it happens. And it's not right for you before it happens. It's not the right job. It doesn't fulfill your soul, but you're there. And when it happens, you're just devastated.
Yes.
You kind of have to recover from it, but you also get to a point where you do your own thing, and it gives you the guts to, I am good enough and I'm great actually. And this is where I'm really good, and let me try it. And I think so many will see the silver lining in that, or as they listen or watch today, they think of their own experience and maybe how they could turn it into a positive and not.
Yeah. I think that once you mourn getting fired and what that means to you, if you can take a step back and look at the bigger picture, oftentimes things like this are the best things that could possibly have happened.
Yes.
So
And
true.
meant to be's, you know, because they do move you forward into something that maybe is where you're supposed to be. When I am feeling conscious and connected, I remember that wherever I am in the moment is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
That it's all perfect, and to try and stay open to what's coming in. So I think that, you know, these are opportunities, and even though it feels bad in the moment, once you get past that, you see that it's the perfect thing. It was the best thing that could have happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so true. There's that
Very true.
expression or that quote I did, faith over fear.
Yes.
I see a lot of people have this as a tattoo this year, actually. I've seen it on a lot of people.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it's usually like, you know, here, and it says faith over fear, and we're on here for people to remember that, you know, bad things do happen in life, spiritual, mental, physical, and they're scary and they're challenging, and they force you to act in a pressured, you know, situation. But sometimes the best things, and in your case, I mean, even your story of not even knowing how to sew, you listen to your gut that, hey, I'm interested in this. I'll figure it out. I have no idea how, but I'm going to run with it. I think so. Don't listen to those moments or their gut saying, I'd be good at this. I don't have the tools or resources yet, but I'm capable to do them.
Yes, exactly. And just try not to get mired in letting your brain run.
Exactly.
Act.
Yes.
So, yeah, absolutely. And I love that faith over fear. There's such a tremendous distinction, you know. One is reactive and the other is sort of connected and open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a great one.
What do you, I mean, I just, there's so much in your story already, Jody, that I would love to tell us about this and what happened. I mean, there's so much, but from your experiences, I mean, what inspires you? I mean, it's a connection, and it's, you know, a faith over fear, and then the fear of failing, but are there certain kind of inspirations or wisdoms that you could offer others that may be going through similar challenges, or, you know, will have one coming up and can tune back in and think, I remember that really cool girl, Jody Miller-Young, said this.
I think what inspires me, several different things. Beauty inspires me, and it could be as simple as going out my door and just looking at nature around me, to seeing an incredible piece of clothing or an accessory that is really art, to a beautiful piece of artwork, to a beautiful person inside and or out. And my animals really, really inspire me. That unconditional love, that pure joy, that their individual personalities, they are always a welcome break throughout the day, and I love being their mom. Being a mom of a human was very, and still is very inspiring. My daughter Morgan inspires me. You know, she's grown up now. She's 34. She's a TV producer, lives in LA, and she has come, her career trajectory was swift. She went in just a few years she's one of the youngest showrunners and executive producers in television.
Incredible.
Wow, you must be very proud.
So I'm super, super happy for her. And just listening to her days and what she has to deal with inspires me. So it's a lot of different types of things. And, you know, I think that probably at least what I do, because one of the things that I've been talking to both of you about recently is I also, not too long ago, started an Amazon business. And Amazon is the best selling platform in the world. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. But it's also a behemoth and a Goliath, and dealing with the back end systems of what makes Amazon run can be extraordinarily daunting, frustrating, angering, depressing, and soul crushing. So with that being said, there have been many times, especially in the past, couple of months since COVID, because Amazon has become extremely strict with products and rules, where I just was ready to tear my hair out. I just didn't know where to turn next to try and get my issues solved with Amazon. And it was very depressing. And in those times when you're feeling really overwhelmed or really kind of crushed by life, for me, deep breaths, meditating, exercising, have all been really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And I think even more helpful if you're younger than me, and I'm old. So no offense, Barbara. I'm probably older than you are.
No, I doubt it. No, I doubt it.
So when you're younger, I mean, for us, Barbara and I have the benefit of being on this planet for, several decades. And with all that life experience comes perspective.
Right.
And so hopefully at this point in our journey, our perspective is different than we were in our 20s, or 30s or 40s or beyond.
Definitely.
But even back then, meditation and exercise for me were huge, made a huge difference. So that is something that for me really helps, and something that I would recommend to anyone going through challenges or not. Just to sort of keep you grounded and keep you on an even keel and keep you from being externally motivated.
Yes.
What I mean by that is externally motivated is being affected by everything that happens outside of yourself or life. So when you're internally motivated, you're grounded. It's what's inside of you that's stable. But things change out there all the time.
They do.
Yeah.
And that's such
Very
a
good
beautiful
advice.
piece of advice. And it's so true. I mean, because a lot of those wisdoms and those gut things that happen, inspirations, are from being centered. And I loved when you perked up and you kind of, because you do see people that are internally motivated, and there's a difference. There's a presence with living that way.
Yeah.
And you have that, Jody. You are such a sisu leader to us. I mean,
thank you.
And we're so proud of all of your successes, and your daughter, a young woman in business, she continues to carry the torch. So I just think you have a beautiful family, and we're so grateful for you sharing some of those great inspirations, wisdoms, stories that so many are going to want to know more about after this. We'll have to write a whole blog or a book.
Well, I feel the same way about both of you and Bill. You are very special people, and I am so excited for you with Sisumoi, and wish you nothing but the greatest successes with
Jody.
this beautiful brand.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And we look forward to continue supporting all of your ventures. We'll include links at the bottom of the video for anybody that's interested. And again, thank you so much, Jody. We'll talk to you soon. Virtual.
Big.
Yes. We'll talk soon.
We'll see you soon.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.